Welcome, friends. This month in Exploring Your Edge, brought to you by Strengths Edge, we are focusing on the Gallup-Clifton Strengths domain of executing themes and how they influence our lives. Folks with executing strengths make things happen. I'd like to introduce our guest today, Eileen Askey, who you will come to find out executes with precision, tenacity, truly with diligence and great care. And I cannot wait for you to meet her and learn all about this, how she applies her executing theme to support the people in her world. So Eileen, welcome.
Thank you, Nermeen.
So would you give us a little background or insight about you and tell us your strengths?
So thank you. I appreciate this opportunity. So I've been in project management a good portion of my career, almost 20 years. As you know, I'm very detail oriented. I live by lists and spreadsheets. Ask my husband, he'll tell you. I am known by those traits as well as my drive to follow through on my commitments, which is pretty consistent with my five top strengths, which were responsibility, harmony, achiever, consistency, and restorative. So those five top strengths of mine certainly lend to the detail-oriented nature that I have, as well as that drive to follow through on my commitments.
Amazing. Yes, and I've experienced that in our work together on on the Xerox Leadership Association board and in the conversations that you and I've had in your more recent work experience, just how the impact really of your executing strength. So excited to hear more. Wanted to I'd love to hear more about your personal strengths discovery and journey. Can you tell us when you first started to notice and implement your strengths?
So it's an interesting question. As you know, you brought the strengths assessment to our leadership board. That was in 2018. And at that point, I was involved in another organization, another process related to Lean Six Sigma. And I was actually moved at that point to similarities between those two, but differences as well. It was a different lens we were looking at them. And I thought about them, but I don't know that I really thought about them. And then since we've come together and I've looked back, I find it so interesting how those five top strengths that I just mentioned are still there and still prevalent and still working together to help me have success in the areas that I've been working, the areas of project management. I'm teaching in an adjunct role. Those five top strengths all play into that. And it's, again, interesting how even though 6 years have passed, those top five areas are still very prevalent in how I navigate and how I manage. The other thing that I find really interesting about them is um, you're not conscious of them. It,
Mm.
you, I used to drive a stick shift, and you just change into might be the wrong word, but you just guide or transition through them unconsciously. Often you don't stop and go, you know what, I think I need to implement a little harmony here. And you know, and I shift, it's just, they are just me. Right. And this assessment validated me instead of feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm a stickler. Oh, that's not, I'm fussy. I shouldn't be that way. Celebrating those parts of me and validating me. So it's been a very interesting journey going through these.
I love it. Can you elaborate just a little bit more on how you're executing strengths in particular uh, really served you in your project management role, how they showed up?
Sure. So knowing, if you know project management, you know that you have a project that has a beginning and an end. you have deliverables, you have people you're accountable to. You need to stay on time, on track, on budget. And so having that sense of responsibility that I'm going to get things done and I'm going to get them done to completion, having that achiever part of me that says, we're going to do this, and then getting through and getting that done. Um, Restorative as far as project management, nothing is a cookie cutter, right? You start out with here's your deliverables for the project, but then boom, you hit a wall, or you run into, a problem, or there's a financial constraint, a resource constraint. And so sometimes there's that drive to get things done, and I might have to slip in a little harmony. And again, not consciously, I don't say to myself, it's time to have harmony. But then how do you get people to come together and solve those things? And how do you get uh those barriers either chunked out so that they're manageable, or you escalate and ask for assistance, which is one of those areas where I need to stop and think, and maybe pause a little bit on some of those stronger areas, because they may be in conflict with what I need to be working on. So definitely all of them have helped me be a successful project manager.
Uh, How do playing to your strengths make you feel, Eileen, when you have that opportunity for them to show up and serve?
So having them in line, I'm not feeling conflict, right? I'm not feeling an inner conflict. As you and I had talked about, sometimes when you're not in line, you're more tired because you're fighting to get things done, or you're not comfortable, so you're stepping out of a comfort zone, which sometimes is okay. But it's more tiring to be out of line, so to speak, or out of alignment, when you look back and say, okay, yep, I was able to move through something successfully because these were all in line. It's more fulfilling. It's more a better feeling of success.
I love it. I love the alignment and that balance that you feel, uh, ability to move forward because everything is in place. Uh,
Right.
and, and then feeling fulfilled because everything is in alignment.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's um I think you and I talked a little bit about that devil angel thing, right? That sometimes there's this um, drive to get things done, and drive to achieve and have balance, but you want everybody to get along. So it's this go, 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 but wait, make sure that everybody is in sync, and that there's commitment from the team or from the players to um, all have the same goal, right? And to find that common goal, and to work towards it.
Amazing. And what a gift. So we're talking with Eileen here about uh, her top five strengths. Four of them are in the executing domain, and she also has the gift of harmony, which really becomes the connector
Mhm.
and the one that brings that lightheartedness to to those spaces. And so excited to hear a little bit more about that as well. Can you tell us, Eileen, about a time or a specific an instance where your strengths really excelled, or they had that opportunity to shine and and create that uplift for yourself and or others?
So I've had some difficult projects, and projects where there either wasn't um, enough resources to complete and meet those deadlines, or where there may be enough people, but maybe not enough skill set, and being able to recognize and reach out to get support when I need those. I mean, that's kind of a scary spot, that I wasn't able to do it myself, but I was able to stop and go, that's okay. We talked about needing balance, and if I look at the consistency and what balance brings, what's that balance that I need to strike? Knowing that the teams that I have supported have acknowledged and recognized where some of that harmony has come in and made them feel comfortable or made them feel valued on the team. Then I sit back and I'm like, okay, good. Then those skills are things that have enabled the team to move forward or felt good about moving forward. So I think that's the biggest one for me, Nermeen.
Okay. Really all of your strengths playing together. So your four executing that allow you really to accomplish and achieve the program objectives,
Mm-hmm.
and that then the gift of harmony that comes in and allows for that collaboration,
Mm-hmm.
and helps everyone to feel good about the work that they're doing together.
Exactly. I just thought of another one. So there's a course that I am certified to instruct in, and I was doing an overview with a project team. And afterwards, I needed to have the slides just right, and I needed to have the timing just right. Oh my gosh, we can't go over. And, so here comes my detail orient stuff, right? And making sure that there's enough um, interaction, that the team is engaged but not too much, so that we do stay on time, so all of those things coming and going, but then having people feel afterwards like this was valuable, this was worth my time. Looking back and seeing how all of those strengths did interact, I did walk away feeling uplifted that this was a successful event, and all of those things helped. If I had gotten to the end and thought, oh no, I didn't get all the slides covered, or I didn't get all the material, or gee, there's a concept I really wanted to drive home with them that I didn't get to drive home because I didn't do well managing my time, I would have not been content with that outcome. But allowing those four strengths and executing to do their part while weaving in that harmony piece, um, it made it a successful event. And so, that is uplifting as well.
I love it. I love it. So it's wonderful when our strengths are playing nicely together and helping us achieve the things that we desire. It's important to also recognize that our strengths don't always play in our favor when we allow them to kind of take over, and we allow them to be overused.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes they can get in the way of our goals and our intentions. Can you think of a time where your strengths acted as a possible roadblock or a hindrance to your success?
Oh, I can think of many times. There is a joke from one of my managers about singing Elsa's Let It Go to me. Um, so if you're listening, you know who you are. But that balance about when is it okay to step back? When is it okay to not be okay? And acknowledging that, yeah, I didn't get this done today, but that's okay. And here's my plan to either get it done or to adjust, because maybe it's not the right thing to do if something had changed in the project roadmap. Knowing that it's okay to ask for help. I'm not very good at that. Again, you know who you are if you're listening. I'm not very good about asking for help. I want to do it, and I want to do it right, and I want to do it on time, and maybe to the point where I overdo or step into areas that I really should be saying, hey, I need help here, and acknowledging that that's okay. That's an area that I definitely need to continue to work on.
So when working with others, has there has there been a strength that another person has kind of really exemplified, that you've admired or that you've really enjoyed working with, a strength that serves you? And I'll let you go with that first.
Okay. So in looking over all 34 of the strengths, I think the one that jumped out at me the most was adaptability. I do work with someone that I don't know what their strengths would come out to be, but my guess is they would be high in adaptability, and they tend to live in the moment. They deal with things as they arise. Um, I admire that ability to just, oh, this happened. Okay, let's go this way. Oh, this happened. Okay, let's go that way. And I'm over here going, no, wait, we haven't completed this yet. I haven't checked the box. And I wish that I could be more adaptable. So I admire that this person can do that. There are times I sit back and go, I'm actually relieved, that sometimes that we did adjust. So it's refreshing to see someone that doesn't have to follow the rules. And that's one of the descriptors of one of my Lean's responsibility, needing to follow the rules and need to make sure things are done. And and it's okay. And so sometimes we talked a lot about the SWOT analysis, right? Strength, weakness, opportunities, threats. So for me, I kind of see that as a strength
Mhm.
in that person and a weakness in me. And I wish sometimes that I could be more adaptable and go with a little bit more of the flow. And yet when I do adapt, I find that very refreshing. So does that make
How,
sense?
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
How has working with this person who tends to live more in the moment and can adjust more easily, how has that served and helped you in your working relationship together?
So one of the adjustments that I've made is, or that I did make, was prepping ahead of time and having a plan B. So if something does change, that it's not unbearable to me, that I have to, on the fly make an adjustment. Like, okay, if this doesn't work, here's the other way we can do it. So having that plan B ready to go has helped me be more prepared for when, if slash when that might happen.
Okay.
And I'm trying to take cues from that person as well, going, it is okay.
Okay.
Um, that we're not neurosurgeons, we're not flying planes. There are some things that are okay. And that's a big step for me to deviate a little bit from that prescribed path.
So having another, so it's interesting, you in working with this person, you've adapted your style and your uh knowing that things might fluctuate, you've learned to just create a few extra options so that you have options um in the middle of your work together.
I try to.
As a
Do
backup, as a
am I
backup, just
right? Am I successful all the time? I'd be lying if I said yes, but I try to recognize and be prepared
okay.
as best I can.
So using your strengths and being prepared to be able to offer up options or a backup plan if the original isn't the
Mhm.
one that you decide to go with. Awesome. Okay.
Absolutely.
So as someone with strong executing strengths, Eileen, uh, what environments, whether personally or professionally, have really allowed you to shine and feel fulfilled within your strengths?
So I think project management really is the place where I belong. Um, there are other things that I think might be I might long to do more. But I think project management is really where I shine and where I feel fulfilled, because I know I have the skills to come in and move a project through ideation. So when it's first an idea to completion, through execution and completion, I've got the vision to make sure we stay on track, or escalate to management to say, hey, we're not going to make it. What do you want to do? Do you want to throw extra people on the project? Do you want to adjust the scope? Do you have funds for, changing scope? Do you want to slow down? You decide. But I think project management is really where it's at for me. And it's taken me a long time to recognize that. Um, but I think that's where I feel the most comfortable and where I feel the best. I'm not out of my lane, so to speak. It is where my strengths seem to fit the best.
Awesome. When you have the opportunity to take something from beginning to end and support people and
Mhm.
help them to collaborate and
Yep,
uh,
absolutely.
yeah. So on the flip side, so you found your home in project management. What environments left you maybe feeling disconnected or a little bit closed off from your strengths and your ability to allow them to express themselves and for you to be you?
So ironically, I'm going to say project management, strengths, weakness, opportunities,
Yeah,
threat,
absolutely,
because
absolutely.
there are things I can't control, right? And as the strengths that I have, responsibility, achiever, let's go, let's get things done. And I can't control everything. And I can't control when a server goes down and the team has to, be rededicated to another initiative until that's solved, or an emergency, or uh, we have someone go out sick, so the team is short people. For whatever reason, there are things that are outside of my control, then it's a little hard for me. There's that balance we talked about and that ability to let it go or escalate and say, hey, management, here's where we're at. And based on these things, but that's not comfortable because I don't like admitting that I can't do something, so having those variables that are, what do they say? If you're not changing, you're not keeping up, you're not growing. But those are uncomfortable for me because I want to go in and get it done. So I think there's possibilities for strength and fulfillment and for uncomfortableness and adjustment on both sides. There's things that I don't own decision rights for either, that, I would say, let's go, let's do this, but it's not up to me. And sometimes that's hard when you're the one that wants to get things done. I gotta wait
Yeah.
for somebody to get back to me, right?
And especially when you're on the hook
Oh
for
yeah.
getting it done. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I love that example. And I love that you've been able to show us in a project management role how the pros and cons, that your strengths serve you, and they can also sometimes get in the way of really where you want to go.
So here's what I jotted down. I
Yeah,
jotted
yeah.
down. Sometimes those areas thrive on the structure and accountability with a sprinkle of harmony, while
Uh-huh.
other times more flexibility may be needed. And it's tiring to have to adjust in the moment to areas that I'm uncomfortable.
I love it.
Uh,
So which kind of leans into the adaptability that
mhm.
that you were admiring in your colleague, that uh that's an area that when changes have to be made in the moment, it doesn't jive
Right,
necessarily always with your executing themes that are a little bit more structured than that.
right, right.
Okay.
Even a sprinkle of harmony sometimes won't change some of those variables, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Okay. So here at Strengths Edge, we know that strengths go with you everywhere. And it's important not to only focus on your strengths in relation to your career, but also outside of your professional life. Eileen, can you give us some examples and explain areas in your personal life where your strengths have really shown up and really served?
Absolutely. So, I am a caregiver at home, and navigating, health issues has definitely been something where my strengths have shined or played well. staying on top of appointments, medications, tracking changes. That's enabled us to stay on top of things and to making sure that we don't have any surprises. And then we need to navigate the relationship with healthcare providers. And so that's where my harmony comes in that, making sure that we are all focused on the same goal and that we are working together to navigate through these things.
Thank goodness for your strengths and the way that you are. They really do help you stay organized
Mhm.
in your caregiving and stay on top of what needs to happen instead of feeling all over the place or things out of control.
Yep,
You know what's supposed to happen when, and able to identify if something's not right and know
absolutely.
exactly where to go and what to do. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lists, notes, spreadsheets, you name it.
I'm curious, how do uh, caregivers, others that you're working with, uh, when they see your organization and the detail that you're able to provide, what are some of their reactions?
So I've had healthcare providers where I've said, Excuse me, I have my list," because I'll jot down questions and then I'll apologize for taking an extra minute. And I'll hear, we wish we had more people as organized and as involved as you are. So I receive positive feedback on that engagement.
A gift all around, Eileen, for who you're caring for and also for the people who are coming in to support you. So what a blessing.
Thank you.
All right. So throughout your journey of kind of exploring your strengths and playing to them, was there anything that surprised you or that you didn't realize about yourself?
So I think I touched on this earlier, so I apologize if I jumped a little ahead of your questions, but finding that the strengths that I embrace, do I embrace them? There's tolerable and intolerable weaknesses, right? So recognizing those times where I may be maybe a little too heavy in one of the areas, too achiever, too much rigidness, recognizing those and accepting them, acknowledging them, being aware of them. um, I would have told you 10 years ago, I probably was just acknowledged as, being very fussy because I'm detail oriented. And it's nice to know that those are me and those are strengths that when I use them to the best of my ability, I'm happier. I'm not fighting that perception of, oh, it's just you, yeah, get out your list, that those are things that serve me well and have served others well. And but also this has been very eye-opening in recognizing again when it's time to say it's okay to let it go. It's okay to um acknowledge when good is good enough and move on. So it's been almost I'm accepting me more by understanding these.
I love it. And really appreciating how they have made a difference and served you in your work, in your role at home. And just truly appreciating them when you've allowed them to express themselves in together and
Right.
in those right amounts. Was there an unexpected strength, Eileen, or information that anything more that you found interesting outside of what you might have already shared?
No, I think as I was reading through, so I guess I just lied. Yes. I think as I was reading through all 34 of the strengths, I would have expected to see more analytical or more strategic areas. Um, because I guess I like to think of myself more analytical and strategic, but in reading through them, I think I landed I am me, and I landed where I am most comfortable. But if I sat back and said, "Oh, what makes me me?" I would have said, "I love to analyze data," which is true. Give me a spreadsheet full of raw data and let me spin, let me pivot and go and, come up with trends. And so I would have thought analytical. Now I don't know, maybe analytical's number 6 on my list, like where that falls. Is it higher up on the list? So it may be if there was a top 10. Um, but there are some things the analytical and like I said, maybe strategic. There are some others that no matter what assessment I take, let's see if I could think of the right, uh, maybe the maximizer, the person that drives getting things done, but more at a higher level. It's just something I've never been comfortable with. And so that's consistent. But, like I said, I'd be curious to see if analytical showed up a little bit higher uh, than some of the others. I know it's not the top 5, but I would have thought I would have seen that a little
A little
up
bit
there.
higher.
Yeah. And maybe it's part and parcel, right? Of trying to, there's one that's putting the puzzle together, you know, um,
And restorative.
yeah, love to
Yeah.
solve problems. So maybe that hand me that bucket of data and let me match it and come out with the answer or the solution. Maybe that fits in restorative more than analyzing. So maybe I'm right where I need to be.
Sounds like you've come to a place where you're really owning your strengths, and you really do see them at play in different parts of your life.
But again, I know I said that this at the top. Um, it's not something that I stop and go, "Oh, I was just restorative." I don't, it's not in a conscious awareness of, and I think you do shift through them, right? Depending on the situation that you're in. You call upon some of them just naturally, or they display just naturally. But stopping and looking back, it's pretty obvious where they were in play.
Yeah. They're just how we show up, how we operate.
Yep,
And it's kind of cool when we're able to stop long enough to reflect on it, and really do see them at play in different scenarios in our lives.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So Eileen, as we're wrapping up here, what would you like people watching to know about executing?
So I think people with the high execution skills get things done and we make things happen. And you need us. you, you know,
We
um,
desperately need to.
um, it's okay to have those skills and to embrace them and leverage them. And just because we may appear fussy to someone, may, there's a time and a place, right? And maybe that's okay. And for me to recognize that there's a time and a place, and when it's okay to not use them.
Thank you for that. And then finally, is there any advice or information regarding your strengths that you'd like to let our audience in on?
Um, I think I've said this a few times that recognizing the when you've gone overboard on one of them and when to pull back, what that word balance, what is the right balance for these? And you know, not to use them as a crutch or an excuse. Well, I'm going to do that because I am an achiever, right? How do you channel them and understanding the good, the bad, and the ugly? Because there are pieces of each in there. And how to use them to help others shine. All right. So here comes my harmony, right? How to use them to help others shine, because um, that's what it's all about, that we embrace ourselves and embrace each other.
I love it. I love it. So beautifully said. Thank you for that. Um, it has been an absolute pleasure to work with you and talk to you today about your strengths journey, Eileen. So thank you for taking the time out of your day and
Thank you.
to share your journey with our audience and giving your thoughtful perspective on your amazing executing strengths.
Thank you.
So with that, friends, we close out another Exploring Your Edge episode, and we look forward to seeing you for the next one.